The chapter on fairness in artificial intelligence for medical imaging applications emphasizes the importance of ensuring fairness in all stages of development and deployment. Authors Enzo Ferrante and Rodrigo Echeveste identify sources of bias including data collection, model training, and clinical deployment, which can impact machine learning algorithms. The discussion begins with the impact of biases on ML algorithms in medical image computing, then turns to open challenges requiring attention from researchers and practitioners. Key topics include biased metrics, the leveling down effect, task difficulty variations, discovering biases in unseen populations, and explaining biases beyond standard demographic attributes. This chapter serves as an introduction to the challenges and complexities involved in achieving fairness in AI for medical imaging applications. Fairness in machine learning models is crucial, particularly in medical image analysis, where biased systems can lead to inequitable outcomes across different subpopulations. Biased systems can be attributed to various factors, including data, models, and people. Data bias, in particular, is a significant source of bias in medical image classification, often resulting in lower performance for underrepresented groups. Data imbalance, domain shift, and spurious correlations via shortcut learning are all potential causes of bias. The chapter will discuss important aspects of fairness research, including common pitfalls when auditing fairness with biased metrics, the leveling down effect of bias mitigation strategies, differences in task difficulty for different subgroups, discovering biases in unseen populations, and explaining biases beyond standard demographic attributes. The authors emphasize that this chapter is not intended to provide answers but rather to highlight problems and ask questions, constituting important avenues for future research. The third page of the research paper delves into the open challenges on fairness of artificial intelligence in medical imaging applications. It highlights potential sources of bias in AI systems for medical imaging, including data, model design, and the developers themselves. Ensuring that datasets are representative of the target population at deployment is crucial, with sufficient examples of each pathology for each subgroup. Intersectionality must also be considered in terms of protected attributes and disparities in health access. The paper notes that differences in disease progression and severity due to varying health access can lead to artificial inflation of performance for underrepresented groups, masking biases. Data quality is particularly important, especially with multi-site datasets, as differences in equipment and imaging protocols can result in images of different quality. Data stratification is recommended to keep folds and batches balanced throughout the development of the model. This section underscores the critical importance of addressing fairness and bias in AI systems for medical imaging to ensure equitable outcomes for all patients. The section on automated image processing highlights the challenges faced by deep learning models, particularly with issues of shortcut learning, transparency, and calibration problems. It emphasizes the need for schemes that retain predictive power while incorporating inductive biases for generalization in underrepresented subpopulations. The potential benefits of transformer architectures and ensemble models in reducing biases are also mentioned. Furthermore, it underscores the structural diversity crisis in the AI community, including underrepresentation in terms of gender and race, which limits the ability of research groups to envision scenarios underrepresented in the data. The current challenges in ensuring fairness in artificial intelligence for medical imaging applications are multifaceted. One significant issue is the lack of diversity in the development and deployment of AI models, particularly in the healthcare community. This lack of diversity can lead to biases that are not immediately apparent, such as racial bias in image detection. For instance, a study showed that Google's photo app identified black individuals as gorillas, highlighting the problem of biases in AI systems. Another challenge is the use of biased metrics in fairness audits, such as the DICE coefficient, which can exhibit concerning properties varying across demographic groups. This is particularly relevant in medical imaging where anatomical differences can affect performance gaps across different age groups. It is essential to involve the global community in data acquisition, model development, and deployment to address these challenges. The auditing of medical image segmentation systems for fairness is a complex task, especially when there are significant differences in image resolution or organ size between groups. The use of the dice coefficient is limited due to its inherent bias towards smaller structures and its sensitivity to image resolution. To address these issues, unbiased estimates of segmentation quality, such as the normalized dice coefficient, are suggested. Additionally, it is crucial to consider the impact of resolution differences and organ size disparities when auditing systems. The discussion also highlights the potential biases in image classification tasks, particularly with regards to model calibration. In the medical domain, predictive uncertainty quantification is essential for both interpretability and clinical decision-making. Model calibration plays a crucial role, as miscalibration can lead to higher error rates. Ensuring fairness in terms of calibration gaps across different demographic groups is vital. However, standard metrics used to measure model calibration, such as the expected calibration error, ECE, are heavily biased with respect to sample size, becoming monotonically worse with fewer samples in the evaluation set. This could lead to misleading results when analyzing ECE gaps in different subpopulations. The solution may be to look for unbiased estimators of calibration performance or ensure that test sample sizes are the same across all subpopulations under analysis. The current trend in machine learning fairness focuses on improving a fairness metric or reducing the performance gap between different demographic groups, which may have negative consequences, such as the leveling down effect. This occurs when fairness is achieved at the expense of making every group worse off or by bringing better performing groups down to the level of the worst performing ones. Such an outcome may arise after application of sophisticated methods, but could actually be readily achieved by a trivial solution. Therefore, it is necessary to be careful when assessing the success of a bias mitigation scheme and ensure that we are doing better than a trivial solution. In healthcare, the leveling down effect has been a topic of discussion, with a proposed path towards fairness through leveling up. This concept is illustrated by a computer-assisted diagnosis system that performs better for adults than for pediatrics, resulting in unfair treatment. The solution should aim to improve the worst group's performance, rather than reducing the gap by delivering a lower standard of care to adults. Achieving fairness through leveling up is challenging, and standard bias mitigation methods are insufficient. It is crucial to report and analyze not only performance gaps or worst group accuracy but also average and subgroup model performance for both advantaged and disadvantaged groups. One approach to improve model generalization and mitigate biases is learning invariant representations. Deep learning models can identify protected characteristics, even when not provided, leading to undesirable correlations in the training data. Researchers have explored learning demographically invariant representations, such as through adversarial learning, to prevent encoding protected characteristics. However, recent literature challenges this assumption, suggesting that approaches aiming to improve domain generalization by learning invariant representations may not be the best solution, as models may need to encode demographic-specific attributes in certain cases, such as when there are strong differences in disease prevalence between subgroups. Additionally, Wayne and coworkers have postulated that attempts to prevent general-purpose pre-trained embeddings from learning sensitive attributes can have unintended consequences on downstream models, potentially impairing their performance, particularly for historically marginalized patients. They emphasize the need to assess model bias and consider the potential consequences of eliminating sensitive attributes from embeddings. The persistent challenge of mitigating the leveling down effect in fairness of artificial intelligence in medical imaging applications continues, with no definitive solutions currently available. In medical imaging, differences in task difficulty for various demographic subgroups have been reported. For instance, diagnosing thoracic diseases in X-ray images is more challenging in women due to the shadow projected by the female breast, which may occlude a lung opacity or cause confusion during chest radiography. This leads to less effective examination of the lung's basal areas in women compared to men. Similarly, X-ray classifiers trained on datasets with imbalanced gender representation exhibit inferior performance for certain diseases in women. Even when models are trained exclusively on data from women, their performance for diseases like pleural thickening and pneumothorax remains inferior in women compared to men, illustrating that a task may be intrinsically harder in certain groups than others. Differences in breast density between subgroups of women may also increase complexity when diagnosing breast cancer. This poses a challenge in fairness studies where the demographic attribute of interest, such as race or ethnicity, correlates with breast density. The question arises whether a model is unfair when it presents disparate performance for demographic groups due to anatomical differences. Research distinguishes between cases where disparate performance originates from simple underrepresentation of a demographic group and cases where such disparities have more complex origins like differences in feature distribution or label noise among subpopulations. Recent work challenges the notion that anatomical differences are the primary cause of biases and differences in task difficulty. Experimental results suggest that gender-based performance discrepancies in chest X-ray analysis, particularly in the NIH and CHE expert datasets, are due to dataset-specific factors rather than inherent physiological differences. The analysis indicates that biological differences may not be the main driver of male-female performance gaps, pointing to other factors like the distribution of various confounders, the prevalence of label errors, or differing recording quality as potential reasons. In the realm of healthcare, fairness properties in AI systems are susceptible to degradation when deployed in new medical centers, particularly those in different countries or regions. This is due to distribution shifts between the source population, where the system was developed, and the target population, where it is being applied. The absence of ground truth annotations in the target population exacerbates this issue, making it crucial to design methods that can anticipate biases in unseen populations. Recent studies have demonstrated the feasibility of leveraging automatic quality indices, estimated without ground truth annotations, to perform fairness audits and detect biases. In anatomical segmentation, a task prone to bias due to underrepresentation of certain demographic groups, researchers have proposed a method based on the Reverse Classification Accuracy Framework, RCA. This approach estimates performance gaps between demographic groups, enabling the identification of potential biases. Experimental results confirm the effectiveness of such methods in detecting biases and performance gaps. For instance, RCA-based methods can anticipate biases in unseen populations, ensuring that AI systems are fair and unbiased in their application. This is particularly significant in healthcare, where biased AI systems can have detrimental consequences. By addressing the challenge of fairness properties in distribution shifts, these methods pave the way for more reliable and equitable AI applications in healthcare. Auditing fairness and biases in medical AI systems is crucial to ensure equitable healthcare outcomes. Traditional auditing approaches focus on standard demographic attributes like sex, gender, age, or ethnicity, but this may overlook biases due to learned spurious correlations. An intersectional demographic and phenotypical perspective, as demonstrated by Joy Bulamwini and Timot Gebru, reveals strong biases against specific groups that would have been overlooked if only aggregated results were reported. Group definitions play a critical role in bias audits, and considering more complex attributes, such as combinations of demographic and phenotypical attributes, is essential. Beyond standard demographic characteristics, other attributes or potential confounders may define failure modes for medical AI systems. Anatomical properties, hospitalization conditions, hospitalization tubes, the presence of certain diseases, or even the brand and acquisition parameters of the imaging machine could be leveraged by machine learning models as shortcuts for predictions. If audits only employ groups of analysis based on standard demographic attributes, potential biases due to learned spurious correlations may be overlooked, resulting in a poorer standard of care for certain groups. Recent studies, such as those by Lahoti and coworkers, have proposed fairness frameworks that do not rely on demographics, using causal graphs to identify potential biases in machine learning models. Other approaches, like the one by Dwork and coworkers, focus on fairness metrics that are not reliant on demographic information. These studies highlight the importance of auditing biases beyond standard demographic attributes to ensure fairness and equity in medical AI systems. By considering a broader range of attributes and potential confounders, bias audits can uncover hidden biases and ensure that medical AI systems provide equitable care for all patients. The 12th page of the research paper delves into strategies to mitigate biases in AI for medical imaging, focusing on methods that do not require demographic metadata. It introduces the adversarially reweighted learning (ARL) strategy, a minimax game between a learner and adversary. The learner optimizes for the main classification task, while the adversary identifies regions where the learner makes significant errors, which are then upweighted in the loss function. This approach can help mitigate biases for unknown protected groups. The paper also discusses an approach based on uncertainty estimation instead of adversarial learning, proposed by Stone and coworkers. They suggest using Bayesian neural networks with an epistemic uncertainty-weighted loss function to dynamically identify potential biases against individual training samples and reweigh them during training. The authors found a positive correlation between samples subject to bias and higher epistemic uncertainties. A different approach is adopted in 42, where the authors propose leveraging counterfactual image generation to explain the reasons behind biased systems and combining this method with distribution ally robust optimization (DRO) to address biases caused by hospitalization artifacts. Using counterfactual explanations to understand biases is an interesting strategy, as it enables providing visual feedback that could help in discovering failure modes beyond standard demographic attributes. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the importance of ensuring fairness in AI for medical imaging, identifying common pitfalls and open challenges, and highlighting how biases can creep in at various stages of development. It also underscores the challenges in assessing the fairness of an AI system and the variability in task difficulty among different demographic subgroups, emphasizing the need for novel methodologies capable of producing early warnings and identifying biases in unseen and in-labeled populations. The chapter addresses open challenges on fairness in artificial intelligence for medical imaging applications, stressing the importance of identifying and addressing biases proactively. It highlights underdiagnosis bias, gender imbalance in datasets, and the need for a sophisticated understanding of fairness. The selection of challenges is subjective, acknowledging that there are many other vital aspects of fairness in AI that require attention. The journey towards trustworthy AI in medical imaging is complex, requiring continuous efforts to address new challenges as they emerge. Medical image analysis is prone to bias, which can lead to unfair and inaccurate diagnostic outcomes. Ensuring fairness and accuracy in medical image segmentation algorithms is crucial, as biases can perpetuate healthcare disparities. This paper provides a comprehensive review of the challenges and pitfalls in image analysis validation, focusing on bias mitigation strategies. Adversarial debiasing, intersectional fairness definitions, and risk assessment of demographic bias are among the approaches explored to tackle this issue. The importance of uncertainty calibration in medical machine learning models is also emphasized, as effective communication of uncertainty is vital for building trust in AI systems and ensuring responsible clinical deployment. The concept of leveling down in fairness, which can lead to Pareto inefficiencies in fair deep classifiers, is discussed, highlighting the need for nuanced fairness definitions. The role of protected characteristics in chest X-ray disease detection models is examined, and the potential benefits of algorithmic encoding in mitigating bias are explored. Adversarial learning is also proposed as a means to estimate and improve fairness in medical image computing. By addressing these challenges, the development of more accurate, reliable, and fair diagnostic algorithms can be achieved, ultimately benefiting patients of all demographic backgrounds. It seems you haven't provided the content to refine. Please paste the original transcript, and I'll be happy to assist you in refining it according to the guidelines. I'll transform the text into a direct, concise form suitable for voiceover narration, maintaining technical accuracy and depth while highlighting novel ideas, significant findings, and important arguments.